Tonight on Q2, the frozen tundra, frigid cold temperatures settling into Billings and beyond.
That was one of about 10 that we've experienced so far since Sunday.
With that cold and snow comes concerns. The city already gearing up for pipe problems. Plus, off the runway, a plane crashes at the Livingston Airport. We'll have details. And new at 10, a car for Calliope.
This is a really good experience to be able to give it to her, see her smile, see that she's actually enjoying it so much, because it just makes it all kind of worth it.
A young Billings girl receives a late Christmas surprise courtesy of Career Center students. The MTN 10 o'clock news starts right now.
From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 10 o'clock news.
Well, good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us on this Thursday. I'm Russ Riesinger. Well, this is the view outside. It may look calm tonight, but it certainly feels cold. Bitter and dangerously cold temperatures are upon us, and it's only going to be getting worse over the next few days. Those frigid temperatures, the main story locally. Different scene on the western side of the state where blizzard-like conditions blanketed the region earlier today. That winter storm forcing the closures of nearly all schools around Missoula and that surrounding area. Meanwhile, Lewistown schools are closed tomorrow, while Lame Deer is moving to remote learning for the day. Despite the bitter cold here in Billings, School District 2 says they will remain open tomorrow as scheduled. With the latest on this system and exactly what we're looking at this weekend, here's Chief Meteorologist Ed McIntosh. Ed?
No, you don't have to look too far across the state to find poor visibility tonight. Here's a look. Aberdeen Hill. This is between Billings heading down to Sheridan, Wyoming, down into Bighorn County, Montana, Sheridan County, Wyoming. But check out the poor visibility all across the region. In fact, we're seeing some of the visibility dropping down to about a quarter mile in places, and wind chills already at 51 below, and Cutbank 44 below is what it feels like right now in Great Falls, where we've had some frigid cold temperatures. With the Stockman Bank weather cam today, not much difference between the high and the low for the day. 3 below the coldest so far, and that's where we're sitting. Some much colder air is on the way. We're going to break down the complete forecast, take a look at the potential record setters, and we'll talk about a little snow too.
With that frigid forecast, the city of Billings is already on high alert, prepping for pipe problems and water woes. It's an issue the city spends around $5 million every year on. Tonight, Kelsey Boggs has some advice for homeowners when it comes to the freezing cold.
The city of Billings has experienced 10 water main breaks since Sunday. And with the cold weather snap about to hit our area, Public Works fears it's just the start.
We're just probably going to stay inside.
With the cold weather coming in, Billings homeowners are getting ready.
A weather strip around your doors and make sure the windows are sealed up pretty well.
Vern Brost has lived here for 30 years.
Billings is a good place to live.
And he knows a thing or two about home maintenance.
I worked at Billings Hardware, the one that closed on Grand for 19 years and then retired.
But on Tuesday, he awoke to a surprise.
My wife woke me up. She couldn't make coffee in the morning.
Following a water main break off of Rimrock Road.
They were on it pretty quick.
Brost says water was shut off in his neighborhood until around 9:30 a.m. With the city telling us they had crews in the area around 3 a.m. working to fix the break.
A cast iron, 8-inch cast iron water main from 1951 broke, flooded out on that hillside and part of Rimrock Road.
Scott Emmerich is the superintendent of collections and distribution for the City of Billings Public Works and says Tuesday's break was just the tip of the iceberg.
That was one of about 10 that we've experienced so far since Sunday. They're scattered all over. There's no rhyme or reason to it.
The reasons behind the influx, a mix of fluctuating temps and aging infrastructure.
We have some that are dated back. I know one of our guys excavated one that was prior to 1900 over here on the south side, so we do have some that are quite old.
Emmerich says the city sets aside around $5 million a year for water main repairs, but this is just the start as Old Man Winter finally arrives in Billings.
We anticipate it's probably going to get busier as the weekend and the weather progresses.
Meaning homeowners need to be prepared.
If you have any drafts in your home, try to get those sealed up. Know where your shut-off valve is below your meter so that you can shut your own water off. If you do have a failure or something, then you don't have to call us.
Make sure that your hose is disconnected. Filled my basement once, I know. And tell you, I didn't know that it was broken.
In Billings, Kelsey Boggs, MTN News.
Well, this storm is not expected to bring a lot of snow for us. Northwestern Energy still advising Montanans to prepare for severe winter weather. They say that Anytime storms are in the forecast, crews are positioned to quickly respond to any issues. That includes the possibility of power outages. While they say they are prepared, they also want customers to be ready as well. Community Relations Manager Lisa Perry says time spent planning can help keep your family safe.
Be sure to have all their devices charged as much as they can. If they have a generator, make sure they know how to use it. And a really important one is to have what we call an outage kit available. Know where their medicines are, their batteries, have some food, shelf-stable food available for themselves.
Perry says you can also get information about outages on Northwestern Energy's website as well as their phone app. Tonight, new details surrounding the murder of a Sheridan woman Sunday night. According to the Cowboy State Daily, the Sheridan County coroner confirms the victim, 64-year-old Leonilla Melvin, was the suspected killer's mother. Her son, 22-year-old Israel Melvin, is facing a second-degree murder charge in the case and is said to have been on drugs at the time. Police arrested Israel Sunday, originally holding him for use of a controlled substance. Sheridan Police Captain Tom Ringley says Leonilla died from blunt force trauma. If convicted, Israel faces between 20 years to life in prison. Some scary moments in Livingston this morning after a Learjet landing at the airport failed to come to a stop and crashed into a ravine. MTN spoke with Gabriel Chandler, the owner of Yellowstone Air Services. He says there was some snow on the ground when the jet was landing, but doesn't believe weather was a factor. He says the jet slid about 500 feet past the runway, through barbed wire and into a ravine on private property. Chandler says the pilots were the only ones on board and walked away from that plane with minor injuries. He believes the cause could have been brake failure, but the NTSB is investigating and will learn exactly what happened from the jet's black box. Chandler added, quote, "Praise the Lord, no one got injured." America and the United Kingdom have begun joint airstrikes against Houthis in Yemen. The Iranian-backed militia has launched a constant barrage of drone and missile attacks at ships in the Red Sea, delaying shipping globally. This marks the first time the U.S. has fired on Yemen since the Israel-Hamas war began in October. The U.S. has been warning these Iran-backed Houthis that it would hit back after 27 attacks on international shipping in the Red Sea since November. Just Tuesday, the U.S. Navy had to shoot down 21 Houthis missiles and drones that were fired from Yemen. The Houthis say their strikes are retaliation for Israeli strikes in Gaza, but world leaders say these commercial vessels have nothing to do with the conflict. Incidents like this are fueling fears that this conflict could escalate and eventually draw the U.S. into direct confrontation with Iran. The November election is less than a year away, and today marked the first big step leading up to what's expected to be a historic election here in Montana. It's the first day candidates can file to have their names added to the ballot. David J. takes a closer look at the crowded race for the Eastern Congressional District, as many expect Congressman Matt Rosendale to challenge John Tester for the U.S. Senate.
Even before the first day of filing, several had announced their candidacy to run for the Eastern Montana District House seat. Some of it dependent on whether or not the incumbent decides to run or to pursue another office. In Montana's Eastern Congressional race, it's become a game of wait and see. Many anxiously awaiting to hear incumbent Congressman Matt Rosendale make official what some have speculated for months.
Rosendale's interested in potentially running for Senate.
MSU Billings political science professor Paul Pope is among the many closely watching as candidates formally announce they will compete for the seat currently held by Rosendale.
This is fascinating, to give up a seat that he's almost certainly going to win anyway. For something that it's a much bigger long shot.
Rosendale has yet to make it official. Earlier this week, MTN's Jackie Coffin pressed him about his plans.
With more people entering the field, what's your reaction to that?
So right now, I'm, as you can see, sitting in my official office here in Washington, D.C., and I'm not able to have any conversations about campaign activity.
So far, Republicans who have either announced or filed to run for the Eastern Congressional District include Superintendent of Public Instruction Elsie Arntzen from Billings, State Senator Ken Bogner from Miles City, State Auditor Troy Downing from Helena, rancher and former State Senator Rick Holden from Glendive, Joel Crowder, a Billings lawyer, Billings businessman and former State Senator Ed Walker has also announced he's running, and so is Stacy Zinn, a retired DEA agent from Billings. Pope says the large number of candidates reflects the different points of view within the Republican Party.
The whole party's fractured. Different states will have different levels of fracture versus the national party, but it's quite significant.
Pope says Democrats Ming Cabrera, a Heights Water Board member, and Kevin Ham, a businessman from Helena, will also face a challenge.
They're really going to have to spend as much time running against each other as becoming known to the state.
As for Rosendale, only time will tell whether he'll challenge Senator John Tester for the Senate.
Are we going to get an announcement for Senate anytime soon?
Oh, again, I am focused on the work that everyone elected me to do across the state of Montana.
In Billings, David J., MTN News.
A late Christmas present was delivered to one Billings child today. Students from the Billings Career Center gifted Calliope Landau a fully customized electric-operated toy car. 4-year-old Calliope has Williams syndrome, which causes limited movement in her legs. It means she can't play with a normal toy car. So 3 students from Mr. Anderson's Go Baby Go independent study spent 3 months to bring this vehicle to reality. They used 3D printers to create some of the features like the steering wheel and seat, and used other engineer design skills for the buttons and pedal. The program allows students to use their engineering skills to give back to the community.
A really good learning experience to actually take the skills of learning classes and see them implemented into something real that amounted to something. So that was really nice.
After seeing her and having her go through the car and kind of going through the list of everything that we would need to do to help her out, it was just a pretty simple choice. Like, this adorable little girl would like a car to be able to better fit in and play with her siblings. Like, who doesn't want to give a kid a chance to have a normal childhood?
What a great story. Candidates are chosen through an interview process, and they'll soon be selecting a new child to build another car for. Still ahead on the MTN 10 o'clock news here on Q2, Montana's first full-time medical school is expanding and aiming to meet a growing need in the state as they look to take care of people and animals. That story next. And in sports, hang on. Montana's Pro Rodeo Circuit finals kick off in Great Falls with several local cowboys hoping to make some noise. Highlights from day one on the way.